This is the Kitsune clan, a group of sword enthusiasts who like cosplay, reenactment, and historical martial arts. If you have similar interests, feel welcomed. After having learned the 4-5 drill and the soft deflections, we can now add more complex techniques such as disarms. As a continuation from the soft deflections, we will do disarms in half-sword position. There is one for each of the four angles, but they all follow the same principle. We will use the tip or the handle, depending on the side of the body, to hook between the sword and the hand of the opponent. Then we continue the motion we started with the soft deflection. By this, the blade of the opponent will be trapped by our forearm, and continuing the motion, this will lastly disarm the opponent. Don't be afraid to use your forearm to trap the blade. As you see here, we are wearing protections on our forearms, but even without that, you don't press against the edge of the sword, you press against the flat of the sword. So even with a sharp steel weapon, you should not get hurt if you perform it properly. For safety reasons, it's of course advisable to use polypropylene weapons, as we do here, because flying swords in steel, that's not a good idea. If you have some background in martial arts, you will easily recognize that these techniques are strongly reminiscent of what we can see in Hanbo Jitsu or in Jojitsu. No surprise, holding a sword in half-sword position gives you more or less the same mechanical principles. Don't be disappointed when training these types of techniques, they will not always function. That's not a problem, you can just continue the motion and try to hook up once again, or if you just continue the motion, you will strike the opponent with one side of your weapons. So, however it goes, you will have the control. What I'm saying is that these motions are basically foolproof. You cannot be sure what comes out of it, but it will be advantageous for you. To underpin this point, let's do something unusual. Let's attack with the wrong hand. As you can see, we still get a disarm. It's not the same disarm that we would get with the other hand, but does that matter? No, it matters that I got a disarm, right? Attacking with the other hand is not as far off as you might think. It gives me more reach, so I can use this tactically, so we will see that in the one or other sparring matches definitely. The fact that the disarms will work against each of the two hands is more astonishing than you might think at first. In most martial arts, you will learn one technique for an attack with the right hand and another technique for an attack with the left hand. Being able to use one motion against both means I can cut half the number of techniques I have to learn. I'll spoiler a bit here. We will see that the same motions that we use here for disarms will also work as arm lock techniques. That's one of the not so secrets of the Kitsune style or Kitsune-ryu, that you can use one motion for a lot of techniques. That means I have to decide much less what will happen in a fight. A lot of that is decided by the reaction of the opponent. That's another aspect of security that adds to the relaxation while performing this stuff on stage when presenting, or if you ever have to in a real fight, at least possibly. Concerning stage fights, you see the swords go flying quite a bit here. If you want to use that in a performance, make sure that the sword will not hit your audience. As always, we hope you learned something, had fun, we surely did, and hopefully we see you around next time when we get to more and more complex techniques.